is up, y'all? So if you've been keeping an eye on my series of videos, of course you'll know that I was going to make a video on basically how to make snow solution and compare the stuff you buy from the store for 25 bucks and the stuff you make and the price point breakdown of it, and whether or not it's going to perform as good as the stuff you buy, and actually how to make it. So if you haven't watched those videos, definitely consider watching them. Everything's going to be in the description below. So let's go over how much it costs and what it takes to make it, and whether or not it's worth purchasing. Well, you're going to see that at the end of the video, whether or not it's worth purchasing. So let's get into it. Okay, so we got the snow solution here. Basically they got Froggies, flakes, and snow fluid. This stuff is $25. They have different types of it. This is indoor, outdoor, and it's extra dry. So on Amazon, this one seemed to last the longest. But what we did here is we purchased distilled water here, your regular alcohol. So I don't know what it calls for, either 91 or 70. A lot of people like this wintergreen one. I don't know if it's the smell or what they're into, but I bought them both just in case that basically changes stuff. And Mr. Bubbles bubble bath. Okay, so most of these ingredients you're gonna have already on hand, and of course you're gonna want something to put it in. But Mr. Bubbles bubble bath, if you ain't got a kid, then you probably won't have that. So that's a couple bucks. I think it was like 3 something. Your alcohol's a couple bucks, like 2 something, or $1 something for the smaller bottle. And then your distilled water, which is like 80 cents to $1. And basically we're gonna mix all this stuff together to get our solution. And in order to like allow it to last longer and stuff, you might want to adjust your alcohol to bubble ratio depending on the weather and stuff, because that's what's going to basically make it stick, and how much bubbles you want or how much snow you're going to produce is going to be determined especially by the bubbles itself, and how long it lasts, and the way it reacts to the air in the ground is going to be determined by your alcohol. Okay, so what we're gonna need is 8 ounces of Mr. Bubbles, 8 ounces of either choice of whatever you decide to use, and then 1 to 3 gallons of water is the recommended mixture. 8 ounces is equivalent to almost a cup of these two each, so 8 and 8. So you have 16 ounces total. We'll start off with 1 gallon of water. This is a 2-gallon bucket. Of course you would add more water if you want to dilute it. So start off with 8 ounces of each, and then you could add a gallon of water and then add more water as necessary. So let's start off with measuring this stuff out. So I got a little scale here. This is 32 fluid ounces and this is 36 fluid ounces. I'm going to use the wintergreen one. I believe the less alcohol may be better, just so it doesn't evaporate as fast. Unless you're doing a lot more water, then I would recommend probably this. Okay, so let me set the scale. So we'll do ounces. Okay, ounces. So we currently have, let's do it right here. Currently have 15.7 ounces, so take away 8 off of that, and then we have 41.2 ounces, and that's why I said it's approximately a cup. Okay, so pour distilled water in only because you don't want to you don't want anything to corrode in your machine, especially like the parts and stuff. Okay. Okay, so I changed my mind and decided to put 2 gallons of water, just for the heck of it. Now we'll do Mr. Bubbles. And we'll basically pour this stuff in. It's pink. Until we get our right mixture. So this stuff smells like bubble gum. Okay. So we only put in 3 ounces so far, so it's going to take quite a few of this stuff. And the reason why I chose to do 2 gallons is so that way we could run it, and if we want to add more of this alcohol or more of the bubbles, we could do so, and then we don't have to swap buckets. So I made the executive decision to do so. 8 ounces right there. And then now for the alcohol. Well, let's mix it first, so that way we get a frothing effect going on and bubbles start to be produced. Okay, so now we're gonna put in our 8 ounces of our wintergreen stuff, alcohol. So that's about my 8 ounces, and as you can see, it took about half of it. So that's the solution based on what I read, and everyone's consistent with their mixture. This is exactly to the T, so that way if for some reason it doesn't work, you know whether or not to add more or less of each component to make it acceptable for what you're looking for. But this is what people recommend it, and that's how I made it based on the forums. So let's try it out. Okay, so now what I'm about to show you is the solution that was homemade, so you could see basically what you get, especially since that's what everyone's going to be going for, and then I'll compare it to the solution you buy. Okay, so this is the solution that we made. So as you can see, it covered the ground quite nicely and is still staying there. Same thing up here. That was to the spec that they called out, and now we'll compare it to the solution you buy, so that way you get a general idea. Okay, so this is the solution that you purchase. The froggy, what's it called? Froggies what?
Froggy flakes.
The froggy flakes, the dry stuff. Keep in mind this is on full blast, what you're getting. So as you can see, the froggy flakes compared to the other one, the froggy flakes is a little bit more thicker as far as the stuff that's getting spread out. Now comparing them, whichever one lasts longer, I mean, it's all going to be negligible based on your alcohol that you put in and stuff, and the mixture of bubbles. So, but as you can see, the froggy kind of like frosted a lot of this real fast. So to generate this much snow took about, the current setup here is halfway, but I was messing with it earlier, so the runtime on this is probably an hour maybe. But to generate this much snow, it probably took about 1/8 of that bottle, the 1 gallon. So I definitely recommend you mixing your own and having a longer run time, especially if you're trying to have fun. But that's just the duration that I got here. Of course, this one will probably be the same. But all in all, I mean, it looks pretty good. You kind of probably want a longer runtime, and then you could adjust the settings. So that's on full blast is what I had it on. So I'll probably tune it down to maybe the lower amount that it's going to use. There's 2 settings here. So there's this one for the fan on this side, and then there's this one for the output that it's going to shoot outward. But that's on full and full, so that's to be expected when running everything full blast. So that's going to complete today's video. As you can tell, the Froggy Flakes did produce a lot more snow on the ground, or foam on the ground. Whether or not it's worth the $25 compared to you making it, I definitely recommend you making it, saving the money, and have a longer duration time of it actually happening in the air. But the Froggy Flakes did produce a lot of snow. But yeah, that's going to complete today's video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see content like this and other content I'll be posting on my YouTube channel, definitely consider subscribing. Until next time, I'll see y'all in the next one. Stay tuned for those other videos to see basically how the snow machine was set up and the differences between the real snow and this type of snow machine.